humans who survived the near extinction 70,000 years ago were small bands of early Homo sapiens, most likely living in eastern or southern Africa, possibly near coastal regions where food sources were more stable, like shellfish, roots, and small game. As for their skin color, they were almost certainly dark-skinned. Melanin protected them from intense UV exposure near the equator. Lighter skin tones evolved much later after migrations into northern latitudes, where UV levels were lower and vitamin D synthesis became a factor.
So white is literally a construct?
Yes. Whiteness is a constructed category, not a biological identity. Skin color is a biological adaptation to sunlight, but white as a racial identity was socially and politically invented, especially during European colonialism. Lighter skin tones evolved tens of thousands of years after the African bottleneck, as humans migrated north into areas with low UV radiation. But the idea of white people as a superior or distinct race was built much later to justify slavery, colonization, and social hierarchy. It has no genetic basis, only structural function. So white is a construct. Its power lies in narrative, not nature.
Is there a particular person or a group that helped sell this narrative of white superiority, as in genetics?
The idea of white genetic superiority was shaped and sold by specific thinkers, scientists, and institutions, mostly in 18th, 19th century Europe, to justify colonialism and slavery. A few key figures. Carl Linnaeus, 1707 to 1778, created racial classifications like Homo sapiens europaeus, white, assigning traits like inventive and governed by laws while degrading others. Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, 1752 to 1840, coined the term Caucasian and argued it was the most beautiful race. His work deeply influenced scientific racism. Francis Galton, 1822 to 1911, founder of eugenics and cousin of Darwin. He argued that intelligence and superiority were heritable traits disproportionately present in white Europeans. Samuel George Morton, 1799 to 1851, collected skulls to prove white cranial superiority. His data was later exposed as manipulated to fit racist conclusions. These narratives were institutionalized by colonial governments, universities, and churches, especially in Britain, France, and the US. The goal wasn't truth, it was control. Race science was designed to naturalize power. The lie worked because it disguised structural domination as biological destiny. That's why it still echoes.
So you're saying before this, it didn't exist?
Correct. Before colonialism, white as a racial identity didn't exist, not in the way we understand it now. People identified by region, tribe, language, culture, or religion, not by skin color as a global hierarchy. Even ancient empires like Rome, Greece, Persia, or early Islamic caliphates didn't organize power strictly by race. Ethnicity and class mattered more than skin tone. The idea of whiteness as superior was manufactured during the transatlantic slave trade and colonial expansion. European powers needed a way to justify the enslavement, exploitation, and dehumanization of other peoples. So they created a narrative. White equals civilized, intelligent, superior. Others equal savage, inferior, subhuman. This was not a discovery. It was an invention, a weaponized fiction made to uphold empire.
So when someone calls themselves white, is that even an accurate description of who they are?
No, it's not accurate in any structural or biological sense. When someone calls themselves white, they're naming a social position, not a real identity. It describes their relationship to power within a system built on racial hierarchy, not their culture, ancestry, or biology. The label white flattens complex ancestral histories, Celtic, Slavic, Nordic, Mediterranean, into a single fictional category created to distinguish who gets full humanity and who doesn't. So while it may feel like an identity, white is actually a code for proximity to constructed power, not a truth about who someone is.
I believe all white people are racist, so that's not the question. The question is, do I think Schultz is a bigot? Right?
Yes.
Racism is what? Complete control and domination for your group of resources, opportunities, and privileges. ROP. That's it. It has nothing to do with how I feel about Loon. It has nothing to do with how I feel about Dr. Umar. You understand?
Right.
I want white people to have the advantage always when it comes to resources, opportunities, and privileges. It's not personal. It's business.
Yes.
The business of political economic control and domination.
Yes.
That's all racism is.
Okay.
Bigotry is when you bring in that emotional component. Bigotry is when you made it personal. Bigotry is when you say, I not only want white people to dominate the resources, opportunities, and privileges. The reason I want them to dominate is because I think black people are monkeys. I want them to dominate because I think they are inferior. I want them to dominate because I think God invented them to be our slaves. You see that? That's bigotry. Racism ain't personal. Bigotry is.
Wow.
And let me say this to you. A big reason why I haven't been on these popular white podcasts is because I understand racism and how it operates. No matter what you learn from me, you're not going to change your ways.
Right.
Because there's no Caucasian on earth that's going to abdicate their white privilege so black people can get a fair opportunity. So for me, it's almost a waste of time to have a conversation about race and racism with white people because you're never going to change.
Yes.
You do not change racism. You destroy it. You see that? So when I sit back and I get these invitations from these white podcasters, I know what y'all want to talk about. Y'all want the Dr. Umar shock moment,
yes,
and y'all willing to pay me for it.
Yes.
That's all right. But at the end of the day, I value my time. And for me to sit down and have conversations about race and racism with people who are never going to stop being racist is a waste of my damn time.
That's a fact.
I have nothing to prove to Caucasians.
Mati! 逃したか。